Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight, we will have an exclusive interview with one of the best sailing team in the world and historical America's Cup finalist, Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli team co-coach, dear Jacopo Pilazzi. Welcome, ciao, Jacopo.
Ciao a tutti.
Ciao.
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 It's a
Nice to
big
be here.
pleasure. Thank you so much. It's a big pleasure and honor being with you. Before starting, we are grateful for this unique opportunity to Luna Rossa team director Max Serena and media relationship manager Giulia Caponetto. With their fantastic support, we will know the Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli team closely and understand the team philosophy in order to spread sailing culture, America's Cup soul, and make awareness in Turkey. As you guys, we have learned many things from yours. Today, me and my teammate Burak Jora, Burak is also a 49er sailor like yours. We are hosting today with our other sailor mates, Alpagut, better than us, Italy national team laser coach, and Ethem Dirvana, extreme sailing team Turks owner, and Haluk Babacan, he is Olympic sailor. Our broadcast is streaming live now on YouTube channel besides Motorboat and Yachting Turkey Instagram platform by our digital director Fatih Eriş. Yes, dear Jacopo, it's not easy to describe your sailing career and Luna Rossa team in a few words. Could you please tell us a little bit your sailing journey? Let's start with this.
Yeah, sure. I'm born in Ravenna, which is a small town in Italy on the East Coast, and I started sailing at 9 after the America's Cup of 2000, the first America's Cup of Luna Rossa. And from there on, I've sailed all my life. I did the classic, let's say, journey through Optis, then 420s. And after 420s, I did a bit of match racing, because in my club, it's like a big thing, like youth match racing. And at the time, I team up with Umberto Molineris, which was one of the grinders on board Luna Rossa. And it's my neighbor in Ravenna. We grew up together. And we started 49er campaigning for the Olympics. We didn't make it in 2016. After that, I did a bit of catamarans, M32s, shortly also the GC32 with this Malizia team from Monaco. And then I went back to the 49ers with Andrea Tesei, which was also one of the sailors of Luna Rossa. And we did quite well with Andrea the first years of the Olympic cycle for Tokyo. And from there, Luna Rossa started picking some young guys from the Italian Olympic team mostly. And we all went in. So both me and Andrea from the 49er and Umbi, which I was sailing with before. That picture is 2015, 14 probably, Medemblik. It's cold, 9 o'clock in the evening. And then I came into Luna Rossa with this new generation program, and basically Max Sirena asked me to join. He wanted a young coach, the team, and since my background is mostly as a helm, and as you see, Luna Rossa has plenty of good helms, and but I think during the selections he appreciated because there was a team selecting the young guys. They quite liked the fact that I was pretty organized, and so he asked me to join as a coach in the coaching team, which was a challenge because I don't think I'm a young sailor. I'm 30 years old. I'm not young anymore, not so young anymore, but for sure I was a young coach. I don't know if there ever been as young as me coach or co-coach. in the America's Cup. I've been fortunate enough to do this experience together with Philippe Resti, which has been I would call him a mentor for me. He taught me a lot and helped through this amazing journey with Luna Rossa.
Yeah, it is really incredible. We were planning to ask the Luna Rossa new generation projects, actually. Could you please give a little bit details about this project?
I think it's brilliant. It comes from Team New Zealand. No, Team New Zealand in the last America's Cup, not this one, the one before. They came out with a very young sailing team, and Luna Rossa last time quitted half the way in the campaign because I mean, that's history. Because there were a bit of difficulties with the rules, and I don't know a lot about it. So the fact is that some of the guys went to Team New Zealand straight away. Some of the guys that were in La Rossa, and also Max, Gilberto, Nobili, which was our operational manager. They joined Team New Zealand, and they saw this kind of young people going into the team, bringing a lot of energy and also a way of thinking out of the box, which I think was the big point. Obviously, they had the best example there, because in New Zealand they have the best. They had the best of the Olympic classes and of the young sailors. But they decided together with the owners of the team to apply the same concept, and from there on the new generation project starts. And we're lucky enough to live in Italy and sail in Italy at
exactly
in that moment. And I hope this and it has been, I mean, it's not, I don't have to judge it, but it surely has been a very good good thing for the team, having all, I'm not talking about me, but all of the young sailors. They've been amazing.
Exactly.
They've been so like relentlessly working and giving it all to the cup, and I really think that this is something that in any other sailing environment has to become more usual, like bringing in young people from the Olympic classes, and also from other sports, other Olympic sports. We had Romano Battisti, which was a former silver medal in the Olympics in rowing. We had Emanuele Liuzzi, which came to the Olympics in rowing in Rio. Nicolas Brezzi, which was a rower, then became a sailor. Davide Cannata, which was a swimmer. I mean, it's not just sailing. It's just, I think, kind of high level sports, and yeah, if you are able to mix up people coming from different sports, it will improve the level and the level of the team in the end. And I think also, like, big boats, I don't know, TP52s and all these boats should start getting more and more these guys in, because in the end they bring a lot of energy, for sure. This is granted. The younger they are competitive, they have the work ethic and everything, and they're not experienced. We are not experienced, but if you are good enough in having the older people that are willing to share and putting them together with the young people, you get a boost to the campaign, whatever you're doing. This I'm pretty convinced.
Exactly. This is a perfect balance you are trying to find out, I think. Yeah.
I mean, this is more on the management of the team. I'm I've been working as a soldier. So, but yeah, I mean, since we are talking with the, I think, Turkish sailing community, I think this is something that you have plenty of great sailors from the Finn class and from all the other Olympic classes, and you have programs also in bigger classes. I remember when we did the season with Luna Rossa, there was Provezza racing the TP52 the first year with Luna Rossa. Was a great team. Was like many people from outside, and I think if you integrate with young people, it's great. And also, you guys did the GC32 events, and that's great. I mean, it's so great, and I think foiling is even more this way, because foiling requires the ability to take fast decisions and operate under stress and with short amount of time. And you get people from you see who's composing the teams now. No, it's mostly people from the fast boats, fast dinghies. I don't know, starting from the 49ers, we have Peter and Blair, the biggest example. We had Nathan Otteridge, Helming, last time Artemis, which comes again from the 49er and from the Mott class and whatever. And so I think the path is like take the kids to sail fast boats, because in the end it's not harder for them. Kids just learn quickly, and then as soon as you can, just get them and give them the experience. Who has experience has to try to give, because there's nothing good in protecting your working place and whatever if you have especially people from your nation, young and good, you have to push them. And this, I think New Zealand is a great example.
Exactly. We discussed actually in previous programs with this team, is it an advantage who comes from 49er or foil boats for America's Cup? Also, you mentioned same thing. I think in the future, most of the sailors will be use foil technology or that kind of boats. What do you think?
Well, I think there are a lot of analogies now between these classes and synergies you can pretty use to learn, because in the end you are just learning to sail a new kind of boat. No, nobody has the recipe on how to sail a AC-75, which is a new concept boat. It's just learning, and you need this like kind of ability to sail. Let's call them apparent wind boats with high apparent winds, which can also already be a Mott. But on the other side, you need to be you need the people that have seamanship. No, so you need also the experts, because if not, you pretty much go out and risk to break something. So you need a balance. You cannot just put young guys coming from the Olympic classes. We would do damage to the to the thing. But I'm not limiting. I mean, I think all the Olympic classes produce great athletes which are perfectly able to work in a campaign and work on foiling boats, because it's simply more the work ethics they have and the consistency they have day by day. If you see Team New Zealand, they had in the back calling tactics 2 Finn sailors, and in JJ we had Enrico Voltolini, which is a Finn sailor. We had Matteo Celon, which is a laser sailor. And these guys have, by instance, they have the physical part already sorted in. They are very strong physically. They're great athletes. I think they are the top of our sport in terms of on physicality. So Finn sailors, I think they you need them for sure, because they already great sailors. They're really good, usually calling tactics. They're super used to work on materials and going through a development process on the boat, which maybe on the 49er you're not that used to, because you have limited. You can try different sails, but from one producer, no, so far. And so you're not so used to say, okay, I build a new mast. You cannot do it, no. Instead, in the America's Cup, it's like, okay, I build a new part. I adapt as a sailor, but I adapt the boat to my needs. And the Finn sailors, they have it. No, they have this way of thinking. They're super strong, and in the end, they are high level sailors, which is what you want. So I don't think I think it's very good to sail the 49er, mods, foiling boats, foiling dinghies, to have the synergies and all the help, like improving quickly the technique on the boat. But you need also all the other classes and all the other talents, and every class in sailing. And every athlete out of sailing can potentially take something to the team.
As for the tactics, coaching for the tactics of the boat, it feels like coming from a fast boat, a boat that has high apparent speed, like the 49er. It feels like calling tactics is something that you're more accustomed to, because with the apparent wind, the tactics are completely different than you would on a normal sailboat. How did that work with these boats? Did you have certain software that helped you, that gave you where the boat is going to be laying, where it's going to be with the changing of the wind? What was the process of doing the tactics?
Yeah, so this is a very good question, actually, because so starting from the beginning, let's say on the wind, I think in the end, if you're a good sailor, you can call tactics for a fast or slow boat. It's just the amount of time that you have that is reduced, and so it becomes more important to anticipate. But this is something you guys know better than me. So I don't think it's like mandatory to come from a class where you're used to watch more the pressure from the wind shifts, because in the end you adapt. You're always used to watch both if you are a very high level sailor, no? So you just identify which is priority for you in that moment. But instead, talking about the tactics in these particular boats, it's very important to understand that you are constrained by boundaries. So the boundaries are something about 0.8 miles wide, 0.7, 0.8. So you never spend more than 1.5 minutes on the same deck. And geometrically, with the shifts, as you were anticipating, the race course changes a lot. And yes, you don't have, as in the past, the navigator on board calling you the ley lines, the distance sailed, each deck, and the remaining on the other deck, and blah, blah, blah. But you have a racing software. I mean, we call it the racing software, but it's basically a tactic software, which helps you taking the right decisions. So it gives you the position. It gives you the position of the marks, of the boundaries, and everything, but also does all the basic calculators that the navigator would do. So number of decks to the marks, and a bunch of personalization that you can put into it. And this was a project that was followed by some very, very good guys in our team, and comprehending our operational manager, Gilberto, which was the project leader, and there was.
So you developed your own software. You developed your own software.
Yeah, we did our own. We had a guy from my town actually did the software, and Andrea Bazzini. Was very tough, and then we had obviously Philippe Presti putting a lot of hours in it with Jimmy and Kekko, and I mean they did a great job. No, you saw the pre-starts area, all that was yeah.
You won all the pre-starts. You won almost all the pre-starts in the America's Cup.
Yeah, I think the guys did a great job there.
You're like, don't remind me. It's like
no, I mean they did well. I think the sailors themselves, Jimmy and Kekko, and I add again Philippe and Gillo there in the loop. They were very, very good in working on the pre-start area, on the software, on the strategy, and yeah, there was a lot of work also with the simulator on it, and it came out pretty well. We were not we were very happy with it. We were not perfect. We could have done better, and as always, no, in sailing, but for sure was a strong area for the team.
Definitely. I mean, tactically, all of us, we watched the races. We all agreed that you guys were tactically superior. If the boats were identical, you would have won.
You never know, but it's important to. I give full credit to Team New Zealand for having,
of course,
a faster boat. No,
yes,
it's not that. I think you cannot separate like a sailor racing well a slower boat from a sailor racing still well, but maybe a bit less or whatever, a faster boat, because the same sailor is the one that gave the feedbacks to make the boat faster, and this allows him to take a bit more risks, to take a bit, to do a couple of mistakes more, and so the same sailors gave the feedback, the same group of designers designed the fast, maybe was even a bit harder to use, and on our end the sailors did great, but all of us in the years before we could have done a touch better in all our development phase, both us giving the correct feedback to the designers and the designers coming up with small improvements. It's really about a lot of small details that made them that gave them that advantage they had in the end.
I have one question for coaching. I know that Jacopo is an experienced Olympic class sailor. You sailed many years in the 49er class, but you never did coaching in sailing, but you work with many experienced coaches, and then also there with Philippe Presti. I'm sure you learn a lot from him as well. But what is the difference between the Olympic class coaching and the America's Cup coaching?
Well, I just coached a bit, like young guys in the Olympic classes, and let's put it this way. Basically, let's start from a very easy difference. When I go and coach a young guy that just started 49er, I usually have a bit more experience than him, no? So I can tell him, this is the way I was doing it, this is the way maybe you should try, whatever. When you arrive and your audience is Pietro Sibello, James Pitil, Francesco Bruni, so you start a bit on the back foot, no? Yeah, but I think the first year my experience was with the TP52. I've been with the team, and I think that the first thing you learn is that it's very important to be factual, so to speak about numbers, to represent well what you've done at sea. So all the videos, all the numbers, all the representation has to be very clear and very direct. you have to get the guys involved, and the guys able to watch at them own and at all the data in a very easy way. You obviously have to have the priorities in mind.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's basically the sailing team together with the designers that puts in all the bricks that you need to build the wall. No, most of the time it's the sailor that says, we should try to do this. You're not like saying, you should try to do this, because you know less than him. It's development class. There's not a science behind it. You can have an idea. Maybe it's not completely correct. You can discuss. So it's really like the first thing I think I've learned is trying to get the guys involved. And it's something that actually Philippe always taught me in the beginning, is like, even if you have an idea, just try to make the idea their own idea, no? Mm-hmm. Because if they come out with the idea, even if you thought about it, but if you, in the discussion, they come out with that idea, you are sure that they're going to test it, they're going to try it, they're going to push for it, because it's more radicated inside them. And these guys, I tell you, they get so many information from whoever that having a central point where they, a few people they trust feedbacks after sailing, it's very important, because if not, they get a huge amount of data and ideas and things, and it's very confusing. So yeah, for me, the difference is where you are positioned in terms of experience, and mostly is like priorities and representation. If you are good already in not getting lost in the, let's say, small things before solving the big ones, and you sort out a good way to represent reality and to feed the data, in the America's Cup, you're already a very good coach, because you have everything you need. You can ask the engineers. We don't speak often about it, but the performance teams in the teams, they analyze like all the time, all the data. There's a huge amount of people with great both experience and talent behind the sailing team and behind everything that is like, continuously giving you informations and everything you need. No, you don't really need to, as a coach in the Olympic classes, you have to do mostly everything by your own. Yes, the federation provides a few people that help with some particular things, but mostly you have to sort out all the small steps by your own. There you have to be good in using the other people now. Like, okay, I have this feeling, or the sailors are reporting these feelings. Who's the best person to answer to this? And you have it. So it's great, but it requires discipline from everyone, and from the coach it requires a bit of discipline to enforce that thing, both in the sailing team and with the different groups. I hope it's replying to your question.
Yeah, cool. More than
go ahead.
Question. It was a great America's Cup. I believe we were all supporting Italian team from our heart. I was so sure that you are going to win. But what can you say about it? What was missing for Italian team? The design or development, or they didn't have enough time to train for it? That's the first part of my question. And the second part is, I was sailing Finn at Philippe Presti time, from very old time. So, and you have a bunch of sailors from bunch of athletes from different sports. And how do you arrange the coaching team? Do you have different coaches from different branches, or it's just a team working together? And how do you contribute to the success of the team? I mean, do you train with them, you go out sailing with them, or do you contribute to their decisions? How can you explain it to us? And can you talk us a little bit about the simulators? We are all hearing the simulators and simulators. Are these simulators like in the airplanes, or it's just a computer that you play on the computer?
Okay, so let's start from the coaching part. So we basically were two coaches as roles. So Philippe was obviously the experienced coach there, and I was the young guy. I am no, and Philippe had had a really good idea on how to run things, and has a very good attitude in adapting to the situation, to the teams, to different teams. And I think it was a very different experience also for him to get into a mostly Italian team, because I mean he came mostly from American or Australian or let's say Anglo-Saxon world, so with a different culture, and he was great in adapting to this environment. And yeah, we have a lot of we kind of split it this way. He was taking care of all the simulator work and all the tactical part, so the racing software and that part. And I've been taking care of all the sailing technique, so all the maneuvers and working with the performance group, which takes care of the performance of the boat. So how fast is the boat, basically. So performance is mostly the straight line, let's say, and is associated with all the aero group, what we call the aero group. So all the guys that design the sails and all that part. So there is an analysis of the straight line, then there's an analysis of the maneuvers, which was mostly what I did. And then there's analysis of all the racing part, so tactical decisions and whatever, which is what Philippe focused in. And on the sailing technique on board, we had, I mean, group that is called Mechatronics, which designs, runs all the hydraulics, all the electronics, and all the hardware on board. And those guys are to the sailors on what is working, what is not, how is it working, and helps developing the softwares that are on board to be able to do certain sequences of actions. Every maneuver is a very coordinated sequence of actions, and there are like milliseconds here, milliseconds there. You have to fine tune during the years to get all the maneuvers sorted in. And so this was done a bit by the sailors and me in the debriefs, and obviously Philippe was always helping in all of this, and a bit by his own, by the mechatronic department with the sailors. So yeah, to resume, we have all this for sure in speaking with the coaches and in, let's say, in the meetings when they have to communicate something. But most of the work is done before the meetings with their own groups. The simulator is I mean was a big new thing in the second last cup. In this one we had the simulator of Team New Zealand. I mean the basic simulator of what they ended up last campaign. We bought that package, and we developed it through the years. We used it a lot in the beginning for design choice. So choose how the hull shape, that was pretty convenient simulator just to be sure that the concept was working, and foils. I mean, it's really broad how much you can develop with the simulator, and it's really, I mean, it takes a lot of skilled and full-time people dedicated to it. And then in the second part of the campaign, when the races approached, we use it mostly to train the crew for tactical situations. So the beauty is that if you go at sea, you can do probably 8 starts with a big boat. You can do 10, I don't know, but you have to dedicate most of the session to the starts. And you can race. We were racing our chase boat. It was very good. But you can do it, as I said, maybe 10 times in a day. In a simulator, if you have one day that you're doing maintenance on shore, you can repeat the same situation. I'm not talking of all the start. You can do all the start if you want. But you can, let's say, repeat the same boundary situation 100 times and keep doing just the same thing, to understand well what to do in that situation. And then the idea behind it is that you basically create all the small files in the head of the tactician, helmsman, and that says, okay, boundary situation, right boundary. I mean, I practice it 1,000 times, and maybe in that particular moment I will recall the right file and put it in my brain quickly, So yeah, I think as in the aeronautics, they use it to train the pilots and to develop the components. We are in an earlier stage, I think, compared to them. They had simulators forever, and the difficulty probably is building a physical environment as similar as possible to reality. I think we could have done better there, but it will be for everybody like this, always trying to get the simulated reality as similar as possible to reality, and then obtain the best results from the simulator.
Your team.
The last one, what was missing for Italy? Why did you lost in the final?
What we missed, we need a couple of hours to discuss about it.
Yeah. I mean, the problem, was it the design or development team, or you didn't have enough time to put things together? I mean, maybe a year later you could have performed better.
Time is always a big constraint in the cup, but I think our management did very well with managing time. Also with all the COVID situation, whatever, I think that was done very well. I mean, they did the best. I think it was, I don't know. I mean, I don't know where it burns, but in the end, these guys were able to develop a slightly faster boat in every condition, and understand a few concepts that we didn't pick. But I think it's not just the Team New Zealand design team which did better, or the sailing team, or the shore team. It's just an integration of them. No, it's probably the use they have in working together or whatever, because if a sailor is able to give the good feedbacks, it will push the design team. If the design team comes out with good ideas, it will push the sailing team. If the shore team is able to, let's say the production team is able to produce more quickly a boat or a foil or whatever, it will allow more time for testing and for designing. So it's really like a small chain of steps that you need to get to the result they got to. And I think it's most about good they are in all the departments and how to work together and play this game together, which they are doing since 25 years. I mean, this team has been running forever, and a lot of the guys are still there and know each other very well.
How many were you in the team? I mean, whole Luna Rossa team. I mean, when we see from the television, there are maybe 10 to 50 guys, but the rest, I think it's like an iceberg.
100,
you just only see the top part.
Yeah, exactly. It's more than 100 people overall, plus all the guys in Persico Marine that build our race boats. So it's a lot of people. It's 110, 20 plus I don't know, another amount of people in Persico. So
quite big.
100 people working in the project.
And your team developed during the race too. I mean, when we watched the Christmas Cup, you had problems with maneuvers, and then over time you perfected them. And when it was time for America's Cup, when you started, you had better maneuvers than New Zealand. Your tacks were better, you were faster. That's all you, Jacobo. I think you are doing it.
No, I mean, I've been running long hours in watching at them, but just to give the sailing team and the design team the best opportunity to learn from every day, every minute in the water. And I've been also observing a lot all the other teams in the years. I've been the guy sent here and there to watch the other boats.
The spy.
Good feel the spy guy when we came into New Zealand on what were the differences, and then you start seeing who's actually better, because it's very hard to evaluate it when you're not together in the same piece of water. And so in the end, when you get there, you get all the boats, and your learning curve like really steepens up a lot, because every day you can watch the others, watch yourself, watch your datas, effectively understand what is better, because in a race, then in the end you see it. When you're in the same race course, you see it. And I think the team did very well in sticking to the process, like staying on the details, working day by day, not rushing in like revolutions, but best evolution. And got a few good, priority areas where we focused on, which paid quite well in the Prada Cup. And what happened with Team New Zealand is just simply how I see things, that we were much more used to sail and compete and put the boat against another boat on the race course, sailing it hard. And they're great sailors. They learn quickly. They correct their mistakes quickly, one day to the other, and they had a bit of an advantage on the technology, as you saw. And so in the end, the sailing team got better quickly, and our sailing team was already quite trained by all the races they did before, and coming of sailing the boat, the performance of their boat was just a touch better than ours.
And we saw also they started to do the maneuvers a little bit more different. They were doing something like a roll tack, something that you could say similar to a roll tack. They were using the adjustment of how high the foils were being used during and coming in and out of the tacks. What is your take on that?
Yeah. I mean, they kind of had a bit of the advantage in the early stages on knowing how what you call the adjustment of the position of the foil is the Foilcan system now. So the system that operated the arms, it was New Zealand, designed the software and the hardware. And so they had a bit more good understanding of what this could do and how it worked. And we catched up a lot on understanding how it worked, and I think that was a very big area. So when you saw that doing them certain maneuvers in a certain way, that played quite a bit of a role there. And I mean, it really comes all together. When they had these really small foils, they had to learn how to use them in light wind and sails, hull. All of them was a contribution of many factors that they could do certain things, and for sure one of those. Simply the technique to use at the best their package. And I think we could have done something better in some areas, maneuver wise, technical wise, for sure. Could have got something from them if we have time to sail again the same type of boat. We would try something of theirs. But I tell you, I saw the evolution of these boats and of the technique of each team in the years, and the other teams took from us, we took from them. I mean, what you saw in the final is just how people arrive to put together all the things, but there's a lot of also cross learning between the teams. And I tell you, a lot of the things that was strongly inspired from what we did. In New Zealand, we were pretty solid on the short track courses and whatever, and all the guys then started doing like shorter time and putting less time between the maneuvers and all those things, and tweaking the playbooks, and it was very interesting. I think Team New Zealand again, they did a bit better in everything, which is a good recipe to win. So also a technical part, they did a touch better on something, not everything, but on many things they did a touch better.
And there was that one race where you had that bigger sail, and you kept the bigger sail in the second race, and the wind got lighter, but still that bigger sail played a disadvantage. And I think that bigger sail always hunted you guys for some reason. What do you think of that?
I think about sails is always a matter of balance on what you have on the main sail and what you have on the jib. You cannot really.
I mean the jib. I meant the jib.
Yeah. I understood. So you kind of balance your own boat. It's very hard to understand the balance of the other boats. The position of the foils are different, and so probably the crossovers of the sails were a bit different. I was surprised actually on how similar our hoist on the jibs was compared to Team New Zealand when we got the final. But yeah, they were running usually a bit head sails usually, and transition. They were pushing a bit earlier the transition to a smaller sail. In that particular race with light wind, it was just a mistake of ours. I mean, we mistaked the valuation of a situation, and one tech fell off the foils. We're in the wrong spot from falling from the foils, and couldn't take off because of the position. And simply when they did the mistake on the downwind and they fell off foils, they were a bit more far away from that island shadow, and they had a better opportunity to take off. So I think it's a mistake. I mean, in sailing, sometimes you do mistakes, sometimes you don't have to do mistakes, and who does the least mistakes wins. And
absolutely.
to add who has the fastest boat, I would say it's a bit of a mix of the two. For sure, in that race we could have won it, and we did a mistake.
Yes,
the-
yes.
the
we
big
were-
jib
we were
was,
going crazy.
I would choose the bigger jib again in that race if you ask me.
I have a question.
But you did something very differently between the other teams. You use double helmsman. I think some Americans can't always some team doing something differently. Last time it's New Zealand. They use grinders like bicycles. The grinders they did. This time you use double helmsman, and it's earlier Brothers Cup. It's like a communication problems. Svello time in that communication seems very well. What do you think about it?
Yeah, I think you got the point. I mean, I completely agree with the difficulty of the two helmsman configuration we had was that basically the comms were very, very important there. And we kind of were forced to realize that and adapt early after the Prada Cup, the Christmas race. And what we did is basically we had this very, very talented helmsman, which was the main trimmer, Pietro Sibello. He is one of the best 49er sailors ever. And so he's a third helmsman, and he's perfectly able to call tactics or strategy or anything. I mean, it's the hands difficulty, no? So basically, introducing Pietro more in the comms loop on the tactics, we took a bit of it, and the foil trimmer, which could focus more on the boat and on taking the decision well instead of having to do everything basically. And we split a bit the roles on board also. Technically, we took a bit of things off Pietro to do this, a bit of functions he was doing before. We gave them to other guys. I have some of the grinders. And in the end, it's a lot of, again, small steps which bring to a good result, and the communication in the end got very, very much dialed in, I would say. And I think that the two helmsman configuration has, again, its pros and cons. If I watch them now, if I would take a configuration for restart or situations, for sure the double hand. If you get the Brits having the tactician is amazing. I mean, Giles was able to call tactics very clearly, keep the comms on board very, very nice and smooth. So that's great. But for sure, something we didn't have a dedicated foil trimmer, and the other teams did. I mean, Team New Zealand, American Magic did, and it's surely something I would watch into better. So I don't think there was a better playbook than the others. Our playbook had some very strong points, and I have to say we were very happy about also in the development phase how the interaction between Keiko and Jimmy worked to learn and mostly how to sail the boat. And so yeah, I think there's some positive and some negative in that configuration. For sure, it was something new, and I think it's something we will see in the future. I mean, even if you don't use it all the time around the race course, you can have it in the pre-starts and in some crunch points in the racing course. So I think it was cool to take it to the sailing world and share it on the and share it on television when you see the races.
Exactly. And
Everything is going on so quick.
The teams will try it.
The tactical part is easy to speak after but when you are going with 40-45 knots there, like in one of the double handsman situation, we remember that Jimmy was saying soft cover or hard cover, was asking at the end Luna Rossa attacked just in front of the Team New Zealand, and Team New Zealand went right and get the shift and they win that race, for example. There may be some situations like that. You need to decide very quick. It was a bit difficulties with two helmsmen, no?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, possibly. Possibly yes, for sure. It's you need one more step to take decision because you don't have a single person. Even if we had mechanism to allow the helmsman to choose, the informations were coming to the helmsman, and then the helmsman took the decision. But I think that particular referring to it's my of the America's Cup, because what happened is that our guys sailed a very, very good race. I mean, out of probably 8 situations where they had to choose what to do in a high pressure environment, high speeds, they chose the right thing. And then one decision just on the wind was the wrong decision, but it was taken on the wind. I mean, the guys saw a lull in front, and after the lull there was a gust. It happened to be a gust, but they saw a lull and they said, okay, tech. And in fast boats, but I mean, it's mostly about that. If you had the time to evaluate and to watch everything, then you will take a good decision. If you're in a situation and you have to decide, you may take the wrong one. But if I get a young guy or myself, and I take an example of a race, how I want to race a race, I would surely race as Luna Rossa in that race, because in the end, Luna Rossa, that cross was just 50 meters in front, but because the other guys were faster. Yes. Because with all the good decisions they did before, in a normal race, it would have been a bit easier to take that decision. Now you could use a bit more leverage or whatever. So I think that it's a great example for young sailors. It's like sailing is very hardly a perfect sport. I mean, you're striving for perfection all the time. Probably you will get 9 very good. You get 9 out of 10 decisions right. And if this doesn't win you the race, probably you have just to say well done to the other guys, more than thinking too much what you could do better. And because in the end you really did well there, and you just, I mean, you were just against somebody a bit faster than you, and yes, if you do perfect race, you win it. But I struggle to believe that sailing is a game where you do perfect races. It happens, but not always.
You're right. We have an announcement for Motorboat and Yachting Turkey Instagram watchers. There's a technical limit for Instagram broadcasting, so we will restart the Instagram broadcast in a few minutes. Thank you, Jacopo. So, how Luna Rossa team is prepared for race, that kind of race, especially as a mentally, as a gym, as a food, land activities, sea activities, trainings, etc. Could you please give some tips regarding to these activities?
Maybe from team selection, team selection criteria, how this
Exactly.
So I mean, team selection. So there are two selections. One is the when the management is choosing the sailors, and in a new class, you kind of try the most flexible you can. So this was the first phase where I was not obviously involved because I was part of the selection itself. And then there is the selection of who will be on board during the years. And I think it's pretty much an automatic thing. The boat does it for you. So the boat tells you what is required. And slowly it just goes by itself. You don't really need to like extra focus on who to put on board and whatever. It will happen, and the guys will who has to be on board will be on board in the end. And I don't think there was none of the teams with the wrong people on board. I mean, then this is arguable, but I think the boat does most of the job. Preparation of the guys. So as I said, most of the guys are very good athletes. So by themselves, they have very good work ethics, and I think this makes it's good to spend a minute on it. I think from when we got the rowers, the Romano and Emanuele came a bit later into the team, because was when we realized we needed some like powerhouses, some big guys just pushing on the handles very hard for the length of the race. And they came with no sailing experience, zero. And they took immediately like this and it's very like kind of then you do around the race course on these boats, and they had a methodology that they kind of transferred to all the sailors, to all the rest of the team. So I think this was great in our team, but I think it applies also to the other teams. How much all the physical part improved when these guys came in, and for sure they have a diet. Most of the time, grinders have to be heavy, so they kind of eat a lot. And obviously they don't eat junk food, they eat a lot of good food. And the other thing that probably is different from most of the sports, for sure it's different from most of the sports, is that every sailor is a sailor, but in the afternoon as a technical role, or in the morning. I mean, before and after sailing, they have a technical role. So some of the grinders were involved with the hydraulics, some of the grinders were involved with the hardware, some of the grinders were involved with the sails, electronics. The afterguard speaks with engineers and does also all the, as in the other sports, the media has all the media events to follow, whatever. So these guys, I mean, they have to really manage themselves well in order to keep their best fitness possible, because they work a lot also. They're not just like professional sportsmen. They train, rest, eat. Here you train, eat, the rest part is a bit cut, and then you work a lot with the short team most of the time, or with the design team, with the team you're assigned to. So it's you need to be get pretty mature in managing yourself. The team provides everything you need to be the best athlete you can, but then you have to be pretty mature and manage yourself.
Also, could you please tell us a little bit sailing design? Because Luna Rossa had special design, especially for boom. What makes difference?
Yeah, you mean the sales?
Yeah,
Sales
yes.
part. Yeah, I mean that I'm stating the obvious. The big new thing on the sales was this D-shaped mask with this soft wing configuration, and the teams were able to choose how to control the upper zone and the lower zone, so you could fit the systems as you wanted on the last 4 meters up high and on the last bit of the sail. And yeah, I think Team New Zealand started with a boom on boat 1, and then went through for a boomless configuration on boat 2. We went for a boomless configuration immediately, which to achieve that, we designed it with a kind of internal boom inside, instead of being on the deck, over the deck, was below the deck. And yeah, that was our design solution. Was worked pretty well. Obviously, Team New Zealand then came out with this idea of removing the deck, so they had the sail a bit longer going down. It was one of the small good bit of ideas they had in the design of the second hull.
Yeah.
And so they kind of the mass ball position had to be was that for everyone, and so simply they did a very thin structure below the mast ball and got the mast longer there. For us, our post configuration was was a nice piece of equipment, because there was a lot of stuff on that post, a lot of hydraulics, a lot of systems, and yeah, that was our decision on where to go. And for sure, in the end, there were some pretty obvious the difference on sails between the two boats, and I think our probably design was the cleanest. If you watch overall, or the trailing edge of the sail and whatever was pretty clean, all of it. But what I really liked of Team New Zealand was the ability of modify quickly the overall shape of the sails. So they had this
the bat
kind
sails.
Yeah. They never used that.
They never did they?
No. The Americans actually came out with the idea. It was like a loophole in the rules, and they use it against us. But I'm not completely sure on how our. We were not convinced on that to be a good solution, and I don't think that would have won the cup to one team. It's more about I think what was very good of them was this ability to quickly change the shape of the sails, and this is something that if you think of the wings in the catamarans, is huge, no? And they applied the similar concept. They wanted to be able to have either a very full twisty sail at times, and then get it flatter, straighter leached, and then start again to twist it in a stronger range. And these were all steps they were able to achieve. And us, we had a bit more constraints there, and was a bit harder to do the same thing. And so I think the difference is there. It's not very easy to notice them when you're outside the game, let's say, because it's something you have to really watch in details. But there was, for sure, between all the teams, us, the Brits, the Americans, the the Kiwis was a great area of improvement, and everybody worked their way.
How many sales you tested?
How many sales?
You tested for the
So you could do 10 main sales. So 10 main sales means 10 soft wings, so 20 membranes.
20.
And so it's 10 full sales, and yeah, we did them all. We played all our cards, and I think also the other teams kind of made them all. Team New Zealand had a few, if I'm not wrong now, had a few cards more as a defender. And Jibs, if I'm not wrong again, we had 30 Jibs we could do, and I think we kind of probably, I'm not completely sure, but we kind of did them all or close to it.
You are really a creative team, Jacopo. You are always looking for new solutions, new ideas, and keep trying always. At the new AC-75 boat, what do you expect as development in the future? What are you planning?
I mean, we are not planning. The Team New Zealand and Ineos are planning the new rules, and then we will take the rules and be sure to read them well and come out with our best ideas.
Okay, you are waiting for new rules. After that, you are going to start to develop.
Yeah, you know, in America's Cup, the rules are written by the defender together with the challenge of record.
Yes.
We need one of the other in this thing, and so we just wait, and then when we know the game, we play the game. No.
Yes, you are right. Now you are on holiday. Can we say that?
Now, now I'm getting back to sailing a bit on my yacht, and then something else. Let's see what the summer brings, and then at the end of the summer, I hope we will know well the rules and be able to start again.
Okay. So when you started your being a part of the team, did you get that feeling like when you had an idea, when you gave some idea, people were like, what is this young guy saying? And then eventually they understand that you had the right ideas, and was there like a turning point? Or from the get-go, everybody was clear that...
I think the good thing of the team is that everybody was really open to listen. And I mean, everybody, it's not always everybody, or 100 people. Obviously, somebody is harder than others. But yeah, the team culture was like being open and ready for ideas to come from where they were not expecting to come. But for sure, I can tell you, as doing the coaching part, it's very hard in the beginning, because you really have to prove you already a normal coach in such high level environment has to be very able to prove what he is saying and stating. But for me, for a young guy coming in from a different environment, it was even more important, because you get you get the attention of the people if they watch the thing and they say, oh, this is true. I mean, it's proved, or at least there's a good foundation behind the idea. And so yeah, you have that. Many times you have that phases and you say, whoa, I will have a tough life here. But then I tell you, the guys were very good with me. They always put a lot of pressure on me, but also then gave me a lot of
feedback.
Yeah, I mean, it was simply a good relation and a good way to work, I think.
Well done. Well done to you then.
Thank you. Almost. Missing a bit.
Still, you did great job for this. It was
Yeah.
really good entertainment for everyone, all sailors and all the fans. And I think at the beginning nobody believed that Luna Rossa can come this point. Even the beginning against Team GBR, everyone thinking, oh, Team GBR is going to win easy. But at the
Except
end,
us.
the performance always getting better of Team Luna Rossa, and then at the end it was great fine. Someone was asking there in the chat, I saw, do you think 8 races which both teams fell from the water wings was the turning point? One of the
That I tell you that race was a tough one. We knew, we could won it, but yeah, again, it's sailing and it's sport and it's the beauty of it. You do
It's a
good things, you
dramatic
do
race, yes.
bad things, and then in the end, the result speaks in favor of who did the best. And I think the best team won the cup. I think the best challenger won the Prada Cup. There's no doubt on that. And I personally, what I'm happy of, obviously, I would have loved to win the cup, but I think we pushed a bit more than 100% of what we had. And yeah, the next challenge, it's harder than this one, because it's like understanding what we haven't considered that took them over our 100%. But in my role, in what I did, I think our biggest goal was always like achieving to have the boat going 100+% of its possibilities, and the team did it very well, and I'm proud of that part for sure.
Yeah.
But
What
the
is
turning point, I don't know. I think the turning point happens a bit earlier in the cup. It happens 1.5 year earlier, and then on the water for sure. On the water for sure. If you get a normal race, that was turning point. No.
Exactly.
Aluk, you was raising your hand.
Yeah, I was planning to ask you 2 questions, but you already answered one. The first one, for the future, as one of the most successful America's Cup finalist team, Rossa, you have a great base of sailor design team, material and everything, coaches. So do you believe you can construct a new winning team on top of that base? That's my first question. And the second one was about this Code Zero says. Everybody arguing on the television about this Code Zero says, who will use it? You all had these bowsprits, but you never used them. We never saw even on trainings. What was the secret of the bowsprits? Just to have this Windex on it, or just being good on the television, or what?
Yeah,
or
well, the
protect yourself
bowsprit
from your enemies.
the bowsprit was a mandatory part for the boats. Yeah, and well, the Code Zero has been a big topic through all the campaign, through all the teams, and we thought we could use it, then no, then yes, then no again, then yes. In the end, from what we saw on ourselves, is that the range of the Code Zero was so little, was like kind of probably 1 knot, and it was to sail with the Code Zero if you got the wind over a certain amount of breeze. So because with the apparent wind growing so quickly, when you get just a tiny bit more wind, the forces they get very high, and you saw a lot of pictures of Luna Rossa losing the bow and Team New Zealand breaking the code zero a few times, and I mean, not the code zero itself, but parts of the boats. And yeah, so it was a piece of equipment which the risk reward was probably not good enough, and plus the performance gain you had was, if there was some, was in a very, 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 very little area. But I don't know, with more time, with maybe a bit more thought behind it, would have been it was interesting to see how Team New Zealand had a kind of win seeker in the end instead of the code zero, just for displacement, if they had to like finish a race like it happened in the Christmas race. Luna Rossa can win, can build a winning team. I hope so.
Team, yeah.
I think it's the first step. It sounds obvious, but it's choosing the right people, and then it's like a kind of a long race. No, you just have to take a good amount of your decisions right during the campaign. You'll do mistakes. You have to react to those. But you kind of have to, in the crucial points, in the crunch points of the campaign, you have to take the right decisions. And I really believe that if you watch it as a race, it's pretty much the same thing. The team who takes the good decisions in the important parts of the race wins the race. And this is the same with the decisions in the cup.
Exactly.
Thank you.
So, last questions, if you don't have any. How do you provide the balance between sailing races and your family? You know, one of the biggest questions for sailors.
Well, it's a very good question, actually, because a lot of the team, of the people from the team has already family, has kids, the kids go to school,
Right.
the partners maybe have a job, may not, or whatever. But in the end, it's a job you accept because it's a good job, it's very interesting, but it's also, I know it's bad to put it this way, but it's a bit of a selfish decision, because all your family then kind of has to follow your campaign. No, the families move to the place you're living in. They study in that place. The partners, they come and live there. They have to keep the kids most of the time. The guys don't get to see the kids sometimes, because I mean you go very early to work and you don't know whether you finish or not during the day or during the night. And so yeah, for sure it's a big consideration you have to do when you start the campaign. I mean this was first campaign. I don't have kids, but for sure if I get in the next campaign, I would think about the decision you take, not just for yourself, but for your own family, and also from the family at home, your brothers, sisters, parents, whatever. You won't get them to see them much, and I'm lucky. I have a very supportive family, and very happy when I'm gone and working out of home for some years. I always did that with the Olympic classes, and but yeah, the extra thing is that it's very, very absorbing compared to the Olympic classes. You often have 5 days off, 4 days off here and there. Every week, 10 days of training. You have some days off that you can spend with your family or whatever. You just have to train in the gym or sail another boat, but a bit more relaxed. Here, it's like a marathon that you run as a sprint. They say no. It's a long one, but you're always full on. So family gets a bit the downside of it.
Yeah, it's not easy. You are being a huge family, Luna Rossa family. You are being at the same time.
You see more your colleagues than your family for sure. So yeah, better be.
Exactly.
And Jacobo,
So
you have been living in New Zealand for all this time and working also with a fantastic sailor, Aussie sailor, Jimmy Spithill. I mean, what makes these Anglo-Saxons so good in sailing? What is the main difference? What are they getting right that we don't get right?
I don't know. I thought the Italian were pretty getting it right. Some things. No, I'm joking. I think it's not right and wrong theory. I think it's a way of working which is a bit different, and they are often they are very able to see the situation quite without too much emotion. This is a take I get from them. They kind of keep the distance from the thing, and this is good because then you can get a bit more objective decisions. But on the opposite side, if you ask Jimmy, he or Philippe, they've been working as hell, I tell you. And because people are passionate, because people were Latin or European, or call them as you want, but I told in the beginning of the interview, we have this passion, and for sure you don't want to lose it. No, this is what drives people every day. The short team works all the day, every day. It's impressive.
I think that's what made your team so unique. That's what made it stand out and be so successful compared to all the other previous campaigns. I mean, it is, like Haluk said, it is the most successful America's Cup challenger ever been. And against a predominant Anglo-Saxon culture. And you guys got it right. But you, of course, you had Jimmy, you had some other people involved, but you had that passion. I think that played a big role.
I think you kind of want to like mix the culture, have a bit of a blend of the two, and then you get a bit. I mean, sometimes it's not easy either for Italian. I think more for an Anglo-Saxon working with a passion Mediterranean guy, but in the end, I think the perfect thing is having a bit of a mix and taking the good parts from both things.
Yes.
Well, you did that very good.
Mimi,
Yes.
internetin şarjını geçsene bana lütfen.
It was a big privilege to watch and see you on the water. And let's say last questions, because thank you so much for your time. Do you have any life motto or anything else that you would like to add for this week? Or
no, I don't live with mottos. I always try to watch like how the words. I think the word is too dynamic to have a life motto, but but what I would I think it's very important that, and my hope is that all this America's Cup thing brings people, young kids and families closer to the sea, to sailing, not just for the competitive thing, but just because it's a beautiful to grow as a person. I started sailing and I started my life in this world after the Cup in 2000, and I hope some other people can as I did, start now and maybe make of sailing their life or have sailing in their life skills.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining us tonight. It was a big pleasure and big privilege being with you. It was really fantastic conversation. Tonight our guest was Luna Rossa Pirelli Prada team and America's Cup youngest co-coach Jacopo Plazzi. Jacopo, we hope to see you once again in our program as soon as possible with your new stories, new projects, and new developments. Grazie mille ancora a Max e Julia per tutto. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank to all of you guys and greetings from Max and Julia.
Yes, thank you, Jacopo.
We'll see you soon.
Yes, thank you.
See you
To
soon.
have you in Turkey
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah, maybe.
It would
That
be
would
wonderful to have you as a guest.
amazing. Let's talk about it. See
Yes.
you soon, guys.
See
Ciao,
you.
ciao.
Thank
Please
you.
welcome anytime. Thank you so much. Take care and keep safe and healthy. Grazie mille. Ciao, ciao.
You too, guys.